Hi, friends. Do us and yourselves a favor and check out our affiliate, Three Spirit Drinks. They create plant-based, non-alcoholic elixirs that are cruelty-free and vegan, and they are designed to give you some of the benefits of alcohol without the hangover and other side effects. If you're looking to cut down on alcohol but still want the buzz, check them out. The link is us.threespiritdrinks.com and use the promo code TheActivityContinues for 15% off your entire order.
Yeah, this is not good.
Hi, Ghosty fam. Welcome to the Activity Continues podcast. If you're new here, we are friends and soul sisters who recap episodes of the TV show The Dead Files and talk about other creepy shit, our lives, our dreams, our hopes, whatever we have for the week, our despairs.
The TV shows we like.
The TV show,
the TikToks
we're following. I'm Megan.
And I'm Amy. Thanks for joining us. This week, Megan is recapping the Dead Files episode called Bethlehem Haunting. It's season 10 and episode 5, and it originally aired July 13th. I put 2028. 2018?
It's 2018.
Oh, 2018. Yeah, but not in the future. It did not release in the future.
Yeah.
But time's a construct, so it doesn't really matter. So how come you chose this one?
I chose it because last week when we were just bebopping around and chatting, we started talking about something religious. I don't remember what it was.
It's because we were trying to plan our happy hour around Easter.
Oh, right. And then I was just scrolling through the episodes and I saw one that was Bethlehem. And I'm like, if this is not serendipity. So this will come out after Easter,
right.
But that's why I chose it. So,
but it's not Bethlehem.
No, it's Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And there is no Jesus in it.
Right.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
There are a few content warnings. There's the murder-suicide. There's a fatal car accident. There's also a toddler who's attacked by spirits. And they do talk about possible essay this by the spirit.
By the spirit. Oh, so creepy.
By the spirits. I know.
Oh my God. We had that last week too, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
A couple of weeks in a row.
Yeah, Amy's funny because she calls it perving out.
Yeah.
I think he's perving out on him.
Oh, Amy. She's hilarious.
She cracks me up.
Our happy hour's coming up.
Yes.
April the 23rd is the date that we've chosen because that was one of the 2 dates that was selected in the poll. And the other date is coming up too soon. Actually, the other date is today. So,
the second, yes.
So we're not doing it today.
No.
So April the 23rd will be our happy hour. That's when you need to get in on the Patreon. Do that first.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to tell you my story about when we went
your
to
geriatric.
Yeah, I call it our geriatric concert night out. This was when we went to see Robin Hitchcock. And I'm not going to say...
Is she related to Alfred?
No. He's British, though.
Oh. He's from British?
He's from British. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. He's really cool. I've been a fan of his since before I met Greg. He's an older guy, of course.
Okay.
And,
Robin, not Alfred.
Robin, yes.
I was he
Robin.
Is not cool.
No, he was not a great guy, was he? He's a good director, but...
all right, so Robin
Hitchcock is a male.
Yep.
And he was performing, and I won't say where or when because I don't want anybody to figure out. Well, I guess you'd figure it out just knowing that it was in the state. But at any rate, I don't want anybody to. Well, you'll figure it out in a sec.
You can't.
You'll know in a minute why. So it is. It's at a club that does have seating, but not a ton. Like there's like half wide open space, and then there's some seating.
Okay.
We did not get a seat. We did not get there early enough.
Oh, no.
All of the chairs were full when we got there.
Go home.
It's fine.
Just go home.
But our friends were there and they were sitting. seated.
They were seating
seated.
everybody. They were actually ushers.
Please come sit down over here. I have a space for you.
What's your seat number? 12E? Right this way.
Yeah, it was just tables at a bar. It wasn't no assigned seating. So we stood with them for a little bit, and I did get to sit down when one of them wanted to stand up for a little bit. But anyway, that's not my story. So we're standing kind of by the bar, and it's pretty crowded. Show's going on. Songs are playing. And I hear this whoomp, and directly in front of me, a woman goes flat down, just down on her back, falls.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I was like, what the? And I look, I could see her face. She's right in front of me. And then, we all kind of backed up to give her space. And then some staff people came up. I will say the staff was amazing.
Oh, good.
They were holding her head. They were, helping her sit up, which I kept saying, should they be moving her? But they gave her water. She was like, she was a little dazed, but she was, conscious. And they let her sit for a minute, and then they stood her up, and then they put her on a bar stool kind of at a table. And she was with a man, and he was standing next to her, and we thought, oh, that was weird. Okay. 5 minutes later, whoop, she's down again.
Same woman?
Same woman, down again. And this time, they did not really pick her up right away. They kind of huddled around her. One person, I think, was calling 911. And then I heard a guy next to me say she wasn't even drinking. So it's, it's not like that. But it was kind of warm in there.
Yeah.
And like I said, everybody was old. Robin Hitchcock at one point said, I can't see you all very well in here, but I can tell that most of you are at least as ancient as me.
Yeah.
And Greg made a note that it looked like a Jolly Troll convention because there were a lot of people with long gray beards. But so they picked her up and hobbled her out, and I don't know. I never saw any sirens. Nobody, no EMSs or anything came into the building, so I assume she got out and home okay with the guy that she was with. But
wonder if she just got overheated.
It might have been. It was warm in there. I was warm, and it could have been. I think she was sitting though, so I don't think it was like that kind of thing where you
I hope she's okay. I hope she wasn't drugged.
I know. Well, she was with somebody, but I got drugged once when I was with Greg too. Yeah. So it happens. Yeah. But there was one more thing. Oh, so then that was in the first set. And then when there was a break in the music, we were talking with our friends, and one of them said, oh, that reminds me of the time me and my friend were at, and I won't say the place, but at a bar watching karaoke. This guy got up and sang Brown Eyed Girl, went back to his chair, high-fived all his friends, down, dead, heart attack. Right after he got done singing. Heart attack. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know. Paramedics came in. He was already dead.
Shouldn't karaoke.
I know.
It's the lesson there.
I know.
Wow.
I know. I can't imagine. Anyway, I wonder if he's haunting that bar.
Maybe.
Singing Brown Eyed Girl every night.
Yeah, you should. It's a good song.
Yeah, I don't like it, but I know a lot of people do.
Really?
Yeah. I don't like.
Is it too mainstream?
No, it's too Van Morrison. I don't like any of his music. You don't like
Van Morrison? Okay. Well,
I don't know. It gives me the heebie-jeebies. I don't like it. Him and Neil Diamond. Well. I know that's unpopular. I know.
Yeah. Okay.
Flip Phone Jody loves Neil Diamond, and I'm like,
oh, Flip Phone Jody has good taste.
Yeah. I know that I understand that they're both very, very talented. I just don't like the music.
That's okay.
But
you can feel that way. There are people that I can't stand who everybody loves, and I'm like, they're not that good. Like Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Not
good songwriter.
Yeah, he's
singing.
Very talented, but all of his songs sound the same.
Yep.
He can't enunciate to save his life. He always sounds drunk. Yep. He's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I recognize he's talented.
Yes, I agree on that one too. All right. So, and then last night when we were texting, Megan and I were both watching TikToks, of course, and
obviously,
and I had seen one about this. It was a psychic medium that I follow, and she was talking about astral projection and astral dreaming and how you can visit other places in your dreams. And I don't know if you all remember, but there was early on in this podcast, I was talking about a time where I had a dream that I was flying over the bluffs of Scotland, and it felt really, really real. Yeah, so we saw this TikTok about astral projection, dreaming, whatever. And so we were texting and we were like, I wonder if like I could just go to Scotland tonight or blah, blah, blah. Because she was saying you can sort of
set your intentions before you go to sleep.
Exactly. So you can kind of program yourself to do that. So we were like, maybe we could go meet together somewhere. Yeah. So we didn't really pick a place. We kind of just talked about different places, but I was like, maybe it just makes more sense if we just whatever, see if it happens. And I did not pick a place. I just said I wanted to meet with you.
Okay.
And I did not.
I didn't either. I thought we had picked your bar.
Oh, I know you said that. And so I did think about that.
Yeah, that's what I said. And I said it over and over, like as I was kind of scrolling. And then, once I settled down, I was just like, I want to see Amy at her bar tonight. And then I just said it a few times.
Okay.
But you know what? The first time,
yeah,
I didn't think it would work, but I think we should keep trying.
Yeah, we keep trying.
What could it hurt?
I did wake up in the middle of the night and I realized I had been having dreams about the podcast, and I was telling somebody about how the statistics work and how like we had this many downloads per month and blah. So I don't know who I was talking to.
You're on the right track.
But at least it was podcast related.
Yeah.
The other thing we wanted to bring up is you, Megan, mentioned that you don't find as much joy in watching murder shows.
I had to. Yes, I don't. I lately, like this whole past week when I've been sick, it's just been nature documentaries left and right. I just don't. I still love the murder podcast, but the murder shows, I just even Joe Kenda. Like I stopped on Homicide Hunter, and I'm like, should I? I just don't want to. Yeah. Well, I do watch Forensic Files 2 for nappies, but that, that doesn't count.
I took a Forensic Files nap this week. It was lovely. It was the original Forensic Files, though, because those I know already. So I don't have to worry that I don't have to force myself. Like, I don't feel like I have to stay awake to finish it because I already know the story.
Yeah.
But I have found that I tried to watch last weekend, or maybe it was the weekend before, when our friend Dave was in town. We were watching an episode of Good Old Dave. Evil Lives Here, which is a great show.
It's a phenomenal show.
And it was a particularly yucky one. And I started to feel like icky. Like I started to feel like, and maybe it's the empath thing where I feel like it's rubbing off on me, or like I was feeling the pain of these people who are talking about it. And I just was like, and so I watched a Hallmark thing instead. Yeah.
I don't want to anymore.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've been doing either plot shows or like all this week. It's been nature documentary after nature documentary because they're just, they just make me happy. And
especially when you're sick, you just need something.
I still love murder podcasts and true crime on TikTok. And, but the shows, I'm just not really into it anymore.
Yeah. I know that I mentioned Daisy Jones and the Six as a recommendation a week or two ago. When Melissa and I discussed that show for our Cozy Land podcast, I did a little research and found out that it was a book, which that I knew. It's the same author as The 7 Lives of Evelyn Hugo.
That is such a great book.
I remember that you liked it. I haven't read it.
Oh, it's so good. I'll have to read that.
So, yeah. I think you might like the Daisy Jones show.
I probably will.
It's really
good. I started watching The Cosby Show again, like through, because I keep seeing clips of it on TikTok, and I'm like, this show is so good. Despite him being a creep.
It was good back then. Does it hold up?
For the most part, yes. I've only seen a few episodes, but it does. But it was like this. Lisa Bonet was so young when they started. Like,
oh, I know.
But it was good. But I'm trying to separate, present day Bill Cosby from TV show Bill Cosby because, but yeah, it was good. So I was up till like 1:00 last night watching that. Doesn't help that I took a gummy at like 1:30 and took like a 3-hour hardcore nap. They worked really well.
Cool.
I lost a shark, you guys, and
another
one. Yeah, Chum, one of my hammerheads, his tracker fell off, and it said, the typical message: you've lost your shark. We're going to give you another one. But then when I click redeem, I get an error message. So I reached out to them last week, and I haven't heard anything back from them on my new animal. So now I'm down to 3.
Oh,
I'm very upset.
That's
I
too
know. Bad. I know. I'm hoping I get a new shark and it's not a hammerhead because I do love hammerheads, but I want something different.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I saw a TikTok where there's a potential serial killer in Wisconsin. Men are going missing. I forgot the location. I sent it to Amy, but men are.
I thought it was Chicago. Wasn't it Chicago?
Oh, you know what? It might have been Chicago.
But there is a rash of these in Wisconsin as well.
Wisconsin is the smiley face killer, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still happening now. Because there are young men in their 20s.
You're right. It's Chicago. Yep.
They're disappearing here in Minneapolis too, and ending up in the river. This is what has been going on in this. And this guy has been doing some research, and he is me in a young male form because he made a spreadsheet. He made a Google map showing all of these victims, where they were going, where they were headed. And the punchline, which is not a punchline, is that nobody seems to care.
Which is odd because they're men.
Yeah.
He said,
and they're white.
And the TikToker said that day, because this person, the TikTok was from March 17th, a body was pulled from the Lincoln Park, Chicago River in Lincoln Park. And he said that day, the 17th, he had been in a town hall meeting trying to get people to consider a serial killer. And they had basically kicked him out. So,
yep.
There's serial killers all over. They're active. We just don't hear about them.
Yep.
So, and honestly, I prefer it that way. I know that they're out there, but knowing it and being confronted with the hard reality is two different things.
It's terrifying. Yeah.
Especially when you can't do anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But I do wish that the police and media would pay attention, because I watched a few of his other videos and he's talking about how he presented all of this stuff to, I think it was NBC News, and he had an appointment to meet with them, and then he got a message saying, it's canceled. They don't want to talk to you.
I wonder why.
So it's getting shut down somewhere, which means they probably know who's doing it, and it's high up.
I hope not.
I don't know. And then somebody in the comments wrote, "You should tell Ashley Flowers about this." Great. Someone else says, "No, she'll just take the story for herself." I was just going to say,
so she can plagiarize the story. Yeah.
And then someone else said, "But I bet that the victim's family would rather have it solved than to worry about who's taking credit for it," which is absolutely true. But that's also the same kind of shit that people say to cover for people like Ashley Flowers. So that sucks.
Yep.
All right.
I've read some articles about her, and she is.
Oh, I have too, and some podcasts. And she doesn't care. She just doubles down, keeps doing it. She's making a lot of money.
She reminds me a lot of somebody else that we talk about, that we can't say their name, but their shit's coming to the light.
Yep. That's going to be fun.
I know.
Popping the popcorn.
Yeah.
Wait for that to happen.
A certain ghost hunter who we all know and hate.
Hate's a strong word.
I don't hate him. I don't like how he treats the dead, but
spirits,
whatever. Anything else?
I don't think so. I think
we dive right in.
40 minutes in.
Okay.
Hi friends, Amy here. I just wanted to share with you some promo reels from some really amazing podcasts in our Boo Pod network. Please give them a listen.
Oh, hi there. This is Kate, And I'm Dominic, and we are your hosts of Shitting Bricks, the podcast.
Every week we'll bring you an episode of what makes people shit bricks. Is it a fear of death? Deep water? Running out of wine? Cannibalism? We take a warped look at these topics using examples from history that are the epitome of some scary shit.
You can find us on all the regular podcast streaming services like Apple, Spotify, and Google. For exclusive content including behind-the-scenes nuggets, links to weekly topics, and maybe even merch in the future, head to Shitting Bricks Podcast on Instagram and YouTube. But for now, drop your dacks, pop a squat, and let's get into it.
Are you interested in stories of ghosts, poltergeists, and the paranormal? Do you love an amazing tale of an unsolved mystery, a strange disappearance? How about a UFO encounter, or even a first-hand sighting of a creature that should only exist in your nightmares? Why not join us over at the Haunted UK podcast, where every 2 weeks we delve deep into the tales of the strange and unusual, the unsolved and the downright weird. The Haunted UK podcast is available on all major platforms, as well as being on Instagram and Coffee. So why not give us a follow and get involved with the show? Thanks for listening, and we really hope that you'll join us for our next episode. And on that note, it's back to the show.
So we're in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. A single mom named Nicole. And she bought this house 5 years ago, but the activity didn't start until she brought her son August home from the hospital, and he's 3. And I changed up my format because honestly, I was lazy today. Yes, I did my notes today. Don't judge me, everybody. And I didn't want to go back and forth the way I usually did. So I just follow what happens in the show.
Yeah, that's the way I do it.
I know. I don't know why I was making things more difficult for myself, because I just like doing that.
Well, I like to do it that way because a lot of times the way that it's edited is that it shows you something that Amy sees, and then it shows you
researching
what it really is.
Yep.
Yeah. Or the other way around too.
So when we get to Amy's arrival, the first thing she says,
Yeah, this is not good.
she said there's going to be a lot of yelling, people dealing with bad stuff. There's a lot of freaking out, crying, screaming, and she said she feels a lot of panic. So I think this is from a combination of the living and the dead spirits is what she's getting these emotions from.
Okay.
So then we go to Steve and Nicole. Nicole's a single mom who owns the house. She said life is a daily hell. She's really worried for her son's safety. Again, she lives there with August, her son, who's 3. Cuter than a button. I cannot with him. And then her friend Patty and her daughter moved in a few months ago to try to get back on their feet, about 8 months ago. But they're actually moving out because of all the activity. Like I said, she bought the house 5 years ago, but there was no activity until August was born. She said she'll feel watched. She hears voices. Objects will move on their own. They see shadowy figures, throughout the house. They're physically touched. And August sees a man with a mustache. He can transform into anything. This person punches August, goes into his head. His eyes will get black. He punches Nicole, and then he has no memory of it. So he's essentially getting jumped by this thing and doesn't remember it because 1, he's 3, and 2, you don't typically remember when you're jumped.
Right.
So then we go to Amy, and she said when she was opening herself to the location or to the walk, she encountered a male who's with her now. The man is very upset about the living. He's very calculating with the living. He likes games. He likes torturing people mentally and emotionally. She said people might feel like they have early onset Alzheimer's. They might forget things or, think they're seeing something that's not there. Amy said that this guy is really happy thinking about killing, specifically thinking about killing families.
Right.
So then we go back to Nicole and Steve, and they're in the living room, and Nicole says she hears knocking from the basement, and Steve is like, well, could it be the pipes? Which that's a fair.
That is valid. Mm-hmm.
And she said, no, it happened when both the heat and air were off. So there was nothing going through the pipes. It was not the pipes. She also will see shadowy figures go down the hallway pretty regularly. Steve asks what they look like. She says they're misty and they're not solid. And she said sometimes it's one and sometimes it's a cluster of shadowy figures. And he asks, can you describe it? Is it shaped like a human? And she said, it doesn't seem human shaped. It's a kind of a form, not necessarily a shape of anything. Then they show a collectible fire truck that gets knocked off the shelf. They don't show the fire truck getting knocked off the shelf. They're just like, this is a fire truck. It gets knocked off the shelf. And then Steve is like, well, I know you have cats. Could they be, pushing it off the shelf? Steve, it's not the cats.
It's not the cats.
It's not the dogs.
It's not the dogs.
It's not the ferrets. It's nobody. It's not the pipes. And Nicole said the cats don't even go in the room. They don't even like the room. So we go back to Amy, and we're in the basement. And she said the guy hangs out there. She said he might get physical with people downstairs because he considers the basement his place. He causes hallucinations, and it's more than that. He'll read their mind, and then he projects what they think of as a ghost, and he projects what they're afraid of. So it's very tormenting. He makes them think they're hearing sounds and seeing things. And Matt asks,
what kind of threat do you think this guy might pose to the living?
He's a sexual predator. I think it's possibility, and I hope not, that he's perving out on them while they're sleeping in their beds.
yeah,
We don't like perving out.
no, alive or in beds. I mean, awake or in beds. And she said the living would feel very uncomfortable in the bathroom. They'd feel watched, and they might feel sexually violated too. We're back with Steve and Nicole in the master bedroom. And then we talk about the bathroom, and she said it feels like you're being watched in the bathroom. And she said she felt like somebody was in the shower with her, like she felt this cold air behind her. And she said it was just a very perverted feeling, like very creepy. And she said she also has been pushed on her hips a few times. She didn't specify, like, were they just like pushed in? Were she pushed forward? She didn't specify. She just said that she's been pushed on her hips. And she said it feels masculine. And then Augie comes in, and I just love him. Like, he so comes cute. In.
I only watched like the first 10 minutes of this episode.
That's all he was in.
I saw him.
That's all he was in.
Yeah.
And he comes in and he goes, hi, mommy.
Yeah, I know. He was so
And she
cute.
picked him up, and Steve is going to be the world's best grandpa. Like, I tell you what, he's going to be the world's best grandpa. Steve, he's talking to him, and he asks him what's going on. And then Augie's telling him, he says that, he sees a man, he has clothes on like me, but they're red. And he has a mustache, and he has a lot of hair. And then Nicole tells Augie, tell Steve what he does. And Augie says he hits him. And Steve said, oh, where does he hit you? And Augie points to his head. And then Steve's like, well, we're gonna try real hard to make that go away, okay? So sweet.
So sweet.
And then, he's out, and, that's all we get of him. But that's perfect for me. We could have had a whole episode around him. Just, he's the best. So then he leaves, and Nicole turns back to Steve, and she's like, I'm just full of self-doubt. Am I doing enough for my son? Am I protecting him? Because that's the main reason is that she wants them there. And Steve asks, what do you want us to do? Nicole says, something is attacking my son, and I want it to get fixed. And, So we go back upstairs with Amy, and then she kind of pauses and turns around and asks Matt if he touched her. And he said, no, I didn't touch you. And she said, all right, well, something's capable of touching people here. And she's worried he might be touching them inappropriately, caressing their hair, their face, their feet. Feet. Gross.
The foot guy.
I dated one of those. It was.
Shouldn't.
But... Well, that's true. As long as it's consenting. Consent is key.
Yes.
This spirit likes it when people get emotional. He breaks them down both mentally and emotionally. All he wants to do is mess with the living. Like, that's his goal, is just to fuck with them. So then we interview Patty. She's the roommate. She moved in 8 months ago. Patty agrees that it's going after Augie. Every person that Steve meets with agrees that it's going after Augie.
Poor little kid.
Patty has seen him scared, but doesn't know how to help him.
Mm-hmm.
And as Steve asks, why do you think him? And she said, I think it's, because he's young and he can be manipulated. He doesn't have the, the barriers that we as adults put up. Like, this isn't real. This is fake. To a kid, they see it all.
Yep.
And then Steve asks Patty about her experiences. And she said she had something brush against her in bed when she was trying to go to sleep. And then she also had movement on her bed, turned on the light, and nothing was there. And it wasn't the cats because they don't sleep in her room. To be, I have that all the time where stuff's on my bed. I feel stuff walking around and
I feel it too. And I always just assume it's a dog. But sometimes I get up to look and there's nobody there.
It's never a cat for me. It's never a cat. I think it's my old cat, who passed away, but could be something else, but I don't get a scary feeling. I'm just like, oh, someone's here again. Then we're back to Amy and we're upstairs and she encountered a nasty woman. She doesn't want them there. And she said she looks really stretched out. There will be a sketch of her later. She said she's taking up the whole upstairs hallway and she's related to the angry guy. She doesn't know how. We never figure out how she's related to this angry guy, but there's competition between them and they hate each other. They just, they don't get along. So then we go into the bedroom. I believe it's the master bedroom where the woman wants to be heard and seen. Amy said the living would see and hear this person more than anybody else. And if she doesn't get the attention that she wants, she throws a little bit of a tantrum. She will pace, walk, slam doors, throwing stuff around. She knows that it scares them and she likes that. So not great. There's really no good spirits in this episode. Then we go to Carl, who's Nicole's friend, and he's known her about 25 years. He doesn't live there. He's just, had experiences and he's her friend. He was standing in the door to the kitchen and he saw a black mist float out from the laundry room into the kitchen. And Steve said, well, was anybody cooking? Which, fair, but no, nobody's ever cooking, Steve. Ever. Nobody ever cooks. Carl said, nope, nobody was cooking. He just saw it float by. He said upstairs, he's also seen a weird stretched out apparition with no face. He said from the neck down, it seems to be wearing some sort of a dress. So he got that it was female. And Steve asked how big it was. And he said it was probably 6 feet long, all stretched out. And nobody else saw it. Yeah, it was just him. He said on the second floor hallway, where Amy had seen this apparition of this woman, you always feel watched and you're never alone up there. And he said that he's the only person who will go into the basement. Nobody else goes down there. And again,
guess he's doing laundry.
Yeah, I guess he's doing laundry. And again, he agrees that something's going after Augie. Augie will get aggressive. And he's scared for Augie and Nicole. He said he's worked in childcare and teaching, for 20 some years. And he's never seen this and he's really afraid for him. And so then we go to Amy. We're in an upstairs bedroom. And she said there's a weird shapeshifter guy. She said he's showing Amy images of a demon and then of a man. So at first she thinks he's a demon, but he's not. He's just a guy, a man. She said he looks like an 80s rock star. He's got, and so from then she refers to him as Metalhead demon or Metalhead guy. And she said his sole focus is on the child. His goal is to turn the child into a dark and evil person. And he says,
he's whispering, you want to kill everybody. Best if you kill your family.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So then Steve said that, whenever he gets into town, the first call he makes is to the law enforcement, and there was a murder-suicide right outside of Nicole's front door. Oh. So we meet with Sheriff Joseph Hanna, and there were 2 men who lived next door to each other in 1949. William Eck was 49, and August Meinberg was 60, and he was a German immigrant. And the feud started over their lawns. In 1949, William Eck left some tree trimmings on Meinberg's property. And this kind of was a verbal argument that escalated into a fight. Eck ended up choking Meinberg, didn't die. It was broken up and, that just caused more and more tension.
Mm-hmm.
So finally in 1950, there was a verbal altercation. Again, turned physical. Meinberg went inside. He came back out with a shot-off shotgun. A sawed-off shotgun.
Say that 3 times fast.
He shot William Eck in the head and killed him instantly.
Jesus.
Yeah. Meinberg was then waving the gun around and ranted, "Who's next? Who's next?" Yeah. A neighbor saw this, tried to wrestle the gun away. Then Meinberg turned the gun on himself, pointed it right at his chest, and shot and killed himself. So totally a senseless murder.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all senseless, but
over some lawn clippings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always more than that. I've seen a gazillion episodes of Fear Thy Neighbor.
Yeah.
And it's always some kind of property thing. They're fighting about property lines, or they're fighting about the other one's dog.
Yep.
Or
the noise,
really
or their yard, or it's so stupid.
And really, it's just guys puffing their chests out and seeing which one's the bigger dick.
Yeah, 100%. Mm-hmm. So then we go to Amy, and she said she doesn't know if Metalhead Demon lived there or had moved in and out or what, but he's a very bad guy. And then she said she gets the year 1942 with him. She said something happened that caused him to lose faith and become a very dark individual. When he died, he focused on becoming as negative and evil as possible. She said it's possible he killed somebody when he was alive. Matt asks when he died, Matt asks how he died, and Amy says she's getting suicide from him.
Oh, so it's the German guy.
Yeah, German. So then we go dig into the archives and we find a fatal car accident in 1997 where the person who passed away owned the house. So then we go to local author Karen Samuels, and she's telling us about Ronnie and Karen Robeck, who bought the house in 1975, moved in with their 3 children. And Ronnie was and I'm wondering if this is maybe 1995, not 75. I don't know. I'm going to say 70. No, I'm going to say 95. I'm going to say 95.
Okay.
Ronnie was a supermarket supervisor, and on May 20th, 1997, Ronnie was going to work. A tractor trailer swerved into oncoming traffic, hitting 6 cars. Ronnie's truck was crushed, and he died at the scene. We see his death certificate, and the cause of death was trauma caused by auto accidents. We see a lot of death certificates in this episode. There's like 5. He was pronounced dead at the scene. There were 4 other people hurt in the car crash, but only Ronnie was the only one who passed away. The driver of the tractor trailer was Benny Hilton. He had been driving 19 straight hours, which is twice as long as he should have been driving without stopping. Mm-hmm. They also found cocaine in his system. So he was put in prison for 5 years and ordered to pay $145,000 to the family, which is $267,628 today.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, the family moved out in 2001. They couldn't stay in the home, which I don't blame them. I'm surprised they made it that long.
Mm-hmm.
Then we go to Amy, and she says Metalhead guy messes with the living. She said he can create heart issues, and she's getting an image of a car accident, and he's calling it his big try. And Amy thinks that he caused or he tried to cause the car accident. She said she sees a male in the car, and she said then she sees a separate accident with a female. And to her, what this means with those 2 accidents is he's already attempted one, and he's going to try to attempt another car accident in the future with a woman.
Wow.
Yeah. So then we kind of go back in records and find the original owners of the property, and we interview one of their descendants. We interview Richard Groman. The Gromans owned the property for over 60 years. It was built in 1894 by his great uncle Thomas Groman. Thomas owned the property until 1908 when he sold it to his mother, Rebecca Groman. Rebecca Groman owns it until 1912, so 4 years, when she gets kidney failure and heart disease, and she dies. So then the property is transferred to Mabel, who's Rebecca's daughter. I don't know why they worded it that way and not Thomas's sister, but maybe because we're following the chain of ownership.
Yeah, of who owned it, yeah.
So it goes to Rebecca's daughter, Mabel. Mabel lived there for 5 years with her husband. She was diagnosed with uterine cancer and died in 1918 at 39 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's young.
So then we go back to Amy, and she sees a woman. Again, she's related to the angry guy. Matt asks who she was in life. Amy says she lived there around 1915 or so, and she died in 1918. In her 40s or her 50s. And she said she's white, she has brown eyes. And again, she said she can't get how she's related to this angry guy, but they hate each other. And we'll get the angry guy here.
We think that's Mabel?
Who?
The lady that
I think
that
it
was
is.
in her
Yeah.
40s that she said.
Yeah. So then we go back to Steve, and he says, well, what happens after Mabel dies? Then we have, goes to George, who's Mabel's nephew. And he was kind of the black sheep of the family. He eloped in 1907 to his wife, Hannah. Within a year, he was caught cheating by her. He was walking down the street with 2 girls on his arm, and she ran into him. He fled to a hotel to try to hide, which, like, seriously. It even made the newspapers. The headline was, "Chased her husband and girl companions," was the headline of the news article.
Funny.
He stays with Hannah, but they separate, and he moves into the property. He was an alcoholic, and in 1930, he had passed out in his car on the railroad tracks, and a car was coming. Thank goodness cops were there, and they were able to pull him out of the car so he didn't get hit by the train. He did get arrested, so consolation prize.
Right.
5 years after that, so 1935, he was drunk driving and wrapped his car around a pole. Survived that. So that's 1935.
Jeez.
1952, he died of rectal cancer at 64 years old.
Ugh.
Yeah. I can't imagine that would be a fun cancer to have. Not that anyone is, but
no,
not great.
Isn't that what Farrah Fawcett had?
I think she had the rectal cancer. Yeah.
Real bad.
We're back to Amy, and she's talking about the angry guy. He lived there for a while, moved out, and then came back. He would hang out in the basement to escape his family. He felt like his family was a burden, and he took time. They took time away from him what he wanted to be doing and thinking, which, if this is George, which I believe it is probably drinking. They took time away from his drinking. Mm-hmm. And then she says,
"You can't be down here. This is my space. You need to leave." I think he just hated all people and just wanted to be alone.
Which, like, some days same.
Yeah, right? My guess is he also wanted to be flitting around with the ladies.
Yeah. Yep. She also said it was very hard for him to live with people. He fantasized about killing people and torturing people. And then she says she doesn't think the woman spirit is psychotic like him. And she said maybe that's why she hates him so much, because he's like a monster and she's normal, which what is normal? But by normal in this case, I just mean not a sociopath or a psychopath.
Right.
So then we go to the sketch, and she said 2 things stood out to her: the angry woman at the top of the stairs and the metalhead demon guy tormenting the person. So we get to the reveal, and it's Nicole and her friend Carl. And Steve does this whole background talk. You know, this is their story. And now I'm going to let Amy tell you about our walk. And Amy said the first thing she encountered was, or she's going to talk about, was the dead woman upstairs. She said, Amy said the woman didn't want Amy there. She's not welcome. This woman likes scaring the little living people up there, even though she knows it's causing psychological trauma. She doesn't care because she just wants attention. It's kind of like toddlers. Any attention is good attention, whether it's you're getting in trouble or not. So she said one thing she does when she's bored or frustrated or not getting the attention she wants is she throws tantrums. And Amy said you might hear stomping.
Again, like a toddler.
Yep, like a toddler. And Nicole says she hears pounding on the floor like somebody is holding a broom handle and pounding the floor. And Amy said, oh, yep. She may try to be seen, and she can throw things. And that's when Nicole talks about the fire truck flying off the mantle of about 3 feet. And Steve asks what she would look like if people saw her. And Amy said her face is really stretched out, and Amy had a sketch done.
Oh.
And then once Amy says she had a sketch done, Carl said that he did see an apparition of a woman. And so then they show the sketch, which I don't know why it's not sending to you. But it's thinking about it. Let's try it.
That's all we can ask of it, really.
That's all.
Try your best.
Try your best. Some days it's just better than others. Amy had a really hard time figuring out who she was. Like, she didn't get any names from her. She just, got what she looked like. She said she did get that she came from a very dysfunctional family, and she lived there between 1915 and 1925. So then Steve talks about Mabel, how she owned the house. She died of cancer. She died in 1918. And then Amy thinks that it, definitely could be her.
Okay, so I see the picture. She's ginormous.
Yeah. I sent two more there, and one is
what's going on with her mouth?
I don't know.
This, I will say, looks a little like it's in the style of that other one that looked like a Farrah Fawcett picture that I drew. That's creepy, though.
It is.
And her fingers hanging over the thing look like rags draped over there.
Yeah, or like a rug or something.
Yeah.
Scarves.
Yeah, so it's basically the top floor of a, for those of you who are not watching the video, it is a top floor of a second floor of a house.
That's like overlooking
the stairs
foyer.
Going down. Yeah. And her head is basically from the ceiling to
the top
almost
of the
to the
banister.
floor. Yeah, to the top of the banister. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then we talk about the deceased male related to the woman. He used to live there, but more recently than her. And she got that he was from the 50s or 60s, moved out and then moved back in. She said he was very unstable while alive, really despised his family, and fantasized about murdering his family. Hung out mostly in the basement because that's where he could be alone. And then Steve says, well, it's not a lot to go on, but sounds like George. Property went to him, remember, after Mabel died. He was her nephew. He eloped with Hannah in 1907, cheated in 1908, and then separated and moved back in with his parents. Steve asks if he does anything, and Amy says yes. He can press, touch you, gets violent, he will hit. Nicole says that she's been pushed on the hip, and Amy says the spirit touched her back and played with her hair, but in like a really creepy way.
Gross.
Yeah. And Amy saw him watching people in the shower, and that's when Nicole says, well, I feel like I've been watched in the shower. And he can create and cause hallucinations, and that's when I said, he'll go into your mind and project back what you're afraid of. And just the night before the reveal, Nicole said she saw somebody running through her dining room. And Amy says it's bad. It's really bad.
Yikes.
Then we have the other male that she encountered. When she first encountered him, he kind of projected himself as a demon. So she thought maybe he was a demon, but he's not. He's just a dead guy who wants, who's just a douche, evil guy.
Is this the 80s rocker?
Yep. Okay. He looks like an 80s heavy metal rocker, and he's obsessed with harming the living, and he's focused on his big try. That's when Amy talks about how he showed her the car accident and leading Amy to believe that this happened in the past, and he's working on making it happen again. That's when Steve talks about the Robach family, the car crash of Ronnie, and Amy says that Metalhead could have had something to do with this crash, which makes me think, I wonder how many things happen that we think are not anything, but they are something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then we show a sketch of Metalhead, and he is next to the bed of Augie. And so
I see him. Yeah.
Augie has been taken over a few times. One time she talked about he ran in really scared. And then she said all of a sudden he just didn't have fear. He stood up, walked over, and slapped her in the face.
Oh my God.
He became very disoriented after that and was calling her name. And Nicole said, I know it wasn't him. And Amy says, yeah, it wasn't him.
Yeah.
Because then after that, he got very, didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
And Amy is
Terrifying.
really scared for Augie because the metal guy wants death by any means necessary.
Wow.
Amy says on par with demons.
Oh, which is, I guess, why she thought it was a demon in the beginning.
Maybe he's working with them.
His face is blacked out in the sketch. Okay.
But
what's on top of his head? It looks like a funnel.
It's a bedpost. It's the post
that's part of the bed.
Yeah.
Well, I was looking at the other side to see if there was another one over there, and there wasn't. So I thought it was something on top of his head. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what I think it is. Maybe I'm wrong.
Either way. Yeah. Okay. Creepy.
Yeah. So Steve asking, can they stay? Should they stay or should they go? Amy said they can stay. She said, even if you were to move, these things would go with you. So you have to fix it. She said there are lots that need to happen simultaneously. It'll be one shit storm of a day. I kind of paraphrase what she said. She said, first of all, your son needs an exorcism. It does not have to be done by a Catholic priest, but it does need to be done. He has been utilized by the Metalhead guy for a long time, and they need to make sure that he is totally out of her son. At the same time that this exorcism is going on, a psychic and a medium need to show up and remove the 3 people from the home. So the woman, the Metalhead guy, and the basement guy. When that's happening at the same time, a Reiki master will come in and remove any cords from Nicole that the dead people have attached.
Wow.
And that's where that's where Amy's like, Steve said, well, what if they just cut and run? And Amy said, they would just go with you. Yeah. They're attached to you at this point. So the script at the end, Nicole is searching for an exorcist, psychic medium, and a Reiki master. And the activity continues.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I need to know.
4 years ago, 5 years ago at this point. So, I mean, maybe it's better, but
I hope so.
I do too.
I mean, the kid would be what, 7 or 8 or so? Wow.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was a good one.
Oh, you're going goofy again.
Oh, come on.
What is that? Okay, this is really bizarre because not only did you turn white and then yellow, but there was on the top of my screen, on the top of what I'm looking at you up here was a bunch of pictures of me. It was a whole bunch of this picture above your screen.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah. That's super weird. Okay.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody.
Yeah.
Amy, what do we get next week?
Next week, I will be presenting Evil Comes Home. This is season 11, episode 6. It originally aired August 14th, 2019. And I chose it because I was looking at the spreadsheet and I could see where there were gaps where we hadn't done something in several episodes. And so I just started at the beginning and looked. I had Discovery up on my other screen and was just watching the intros to each episode. Yep. And this one looked the best to me. So
nice.
That's why it was my favorite of 3 or 4.
Yep. All right.
Yep. All right. It's time for an Alanism.
Time for an Alanism. It's time for an Alanism. And you have one picked out.
I do. Yeah, I was reading through them today, and this one stuck out to me because of what we were talking about the astral traveling and stuff. And this is the quote from my dad. I'm a world traveler and didn't know it.
So true.
I don't know where he got that or what he was talking about. I could ask Jackie.
He was wise beyond his years.
Maybe he was astral traveling and he just didn't know what to call it.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a world traveler. They always traveled.
Right.
They've been to Australia and all over Europe. And so he is a world traveler, but
nice.
I don't know why he didn't know it. All right. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. This was kind of a subdued episode, but
that's okay.
Yeah. See you next time, everyone.
Yep.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Activity Continues podcast. We really appreciate you giving us your ears for a bit. Please reach out if you have a suggestion for which episode of The Dead Files we should cover next, or if you have a spooky story you'd like us to share on the show. We can be reached at theactivitycontinues@gmail.com or through our website or any of our socials. Links are all in the description of the show. Please feel free to drop us a note and say hi. And join us next time when The Activity continues. The Activity Continues is produced by me, Amy, at Collected Sounds Media and is part of the independent Collected Sounds Podcast Network. We are also proud members of the Boo Pod network of super cool podcasts.
Nailed it.